Good morning, first grade. Welcome back to another art lesson and another week of remote learning. Okay, today I thought it would be really fun if we did a fall sunflower project. So what you're going to need for this project is a white piece of paper. Whatever size you have is fine. I am using more of like a square shaped paper. If you don't have this paper, don't worry about it. Just use a regular piece of paper that you have at home. I'm also going to need a pencil and my crayons. If you have markers, you can get out your markers, and you might need an eraser. Okay, so in the middle of my paper, I am going to draw a large circle. This is going to be the middle of my sunflower. So I'm just going to use my freehand. So I'm just drawing it without a stencil. And if it's not perfect, that's okay. Look at mine's not perfect. It's kind of got like a flat side here. If I wanted to, I could go in and erase and then kind of clean up that line here a little bit and make it a little bit nicer, okay? So once you're done with the middle circle, then we're going to add the petals that go around. Now, since this sunflower is so big, the petals are going to go off of the page, okay? So I'm going to start here at the top, and I'm going to draw two lines that go up. This is my first petal. And then I'm going to turn my paper a little bit, and then I'm going to draw my second petal. And you can see that this one also goes off the side of my paper. And so I'm just going to continue this all the way around. Now, if you accidentally go on top of another petal, that's okay. Just make sure you erase that line. So I'm just going to continue all the way around until my whole paper is full. Now, sunflower petals have kind of like a pointy end. So you can see that my petals are going to start getting a little bit skinnier once they get towards the top. Now I'm drawing lightly. In case I make a mistake, I can erase. There we go. Excuse me. Okay, so now my whole paper is full. The next thing I'm going to do is get out a black crayon, just a black crayon. And then I'm going to trace over the petals and the middle of the sunflower. All the way around. Now I'm pressing down kind of hard, but not so hard that I'm going to break my crayon. But I want to make sure that that black line is dark enough. Now, if I'm going too fast, you can always pause the video and then catch up and then continue. So no worries. Oh, excuse me, I've got like a tickle in my throat this morning. And then I'm going to trace that middle circle. Don't forget that part. Go all the way around. Now, the cool thing about sunflowers is in the middle, they have sunflower seeds. So we are going to take our black crayon and we are going to add some polka dots in the middle. This is what's going to really make this look like a sunflower. So if somebody were to look at your drawing, they are going to know right away that this is a sunflower because it's got the black seeds in the middle. And I'm just kind of spreading them out. All right, once you think you have a good amount, you can stop. And then I'm going to start coloring in the petals to my sunflower. Now, sunflowers are really, really bright yellow. So I'm going to give you a couple options here. Option number one is you can use your crayons and you can use yellow. Maybe you want to add like a tiny bit of orange, and maybe you want to add even just like a tiny bit of red. This is going to make your sunflowers look more interesting. Or you could do our marker trick where you add a really thick outline of the marker and then use your paintbrush or a Q-tip with a little bit of water, and you just kind of wake up that marker and fill in your petal. Or if you have watercolors, you can use the warm colors of yellow, orange, and red, and you can paint the petals. I will show you all three ways. So pick what you're going to use. You can use crayons, watercolors, or marker. And I'm going to show you how to do the crayon first. So I'm just going to kind of start here. And I'm just going to add in some of that yellow. Now I'm still leaving a little bit of white spots because I'm going to go in with just like a tiny bit of orange. Just a tiny bit. Now when you're coloring, you're going to color up and down or side to side, staying inside your lines. Okay, and then I'm going to use just a tiny, tiny bit of red. Okay, so that's the first way that you could start your petals. The second way is you can take that yellow marker, add that nice thick line next to the crayon. And you're probably wondering, well, Mrs. Demboski, why can't we outline the sunflower with a black marker? Well, this is why, because this black marker is washable. And if you decide to do the marker trick, well, then your yellow and your black are going to mix together and you're just going to get a really yucky color. So you have to make sure that your yellow marker is a washable marker, not a permanent marker. Otherwise, it won't work for you. Now, yellow is really, really light. So there's kind of a little bit of a glare on my screen. So I'm just going to kind of hold it up a little bit. You can kind of see that color just a tiny bit more. Or you can just skip right to watercolors. And I'm going to start with yellow. Make sure I get enough paint on my paintbrush. And I can start coloring in my petals. Now I'm also going to add just a tiny bit of orange just because I think it's going to make your petal look a little bit more interesting. And then maybe a teeny, teeny, tiny bit of red. Maybe just a tiny bit. Okay, and then I would let that dry, and then I would go to all of my other petals. So once you have all of the petals done, then we need to work on the inside of our sunflower. Now we've already added black, so I'm going to take a brown crayon, and I'm just going to color in the middle of the sunflower. Now I'm not scribbling. Just because I'm coloring fast doesn't mean I'm scribbling. I'm coloring up and down, staying inside my lines. There we go. And I'm going to color in the whole thing. But this is where I am going to stop, just so you have time, okay? Now, we need to work on our background, the space behind your petals. So I am going to choose a color that I have not used. I don't want to use yellow. I don't want to use orange or red, because then it's just going to look like another petal behind. So I want to choose a color that I have not used. So I'm going to choose blue. I think that'll look really nice next to the yellow. So I'm just going to fill in those places behind the petal. Now, if you want to do this with watercolor, that's fine too, but make sure that your petals are dry, because if your petals aren't dry, then you might end up with some colors that mix. I'm going to keep going. All right, there we go. Now, once you have your whole background filled in, then your project is complete. You can take a photo of it and upload it into Seesaw, and clean up all of your supplies because we don't want to leave our space a mess. So you'll put everything back to where you found it, and I will talk to you guys next week and we will start a new project. Good luck working on those sunflowers. I'll talk to you guys soon.